As 2023 started, I started to take stock of things I was truly grateful for in my life. At the top of that list was the people that I've had the pleasure of getting to meet along my journey. I have been blessed with this amazing gift of meeting and vibing with some pretty amazing people. Sometimes just random banter at the supermarket, at networking events, and sometimes I get lucky enough to call these amazing people my friend. It occurred to me that in one way or another, they have positively affected me, and they truly are the VIP in my life. My aim with this show is to remind these awesome people how great they are, have them share their stories to possibly inspire others, and get ahead of the game before they become world class famous.
Oh my
I got to see it
gosh.
first. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Manifest Positivity. My name is Odera. My guest today started off as just a friend of a friend, and now, almost 7 years later, I'm honored to call her my friend.
Aw.
When I met Tomi, she was a resident living in the Upper West Side of New York City. She played games like Dungeons and Dragons, and she was the first Nigerian I had met at the time that barely had any Nigerian friends. In
Oh.
fact, I was fascinated at her ability to build such solid friendships with people from so many different cultures around the world. I guess she served as an inspiration to me to look for friends that didn't necessarily look like me and participate in activities far outside my comfort zone. When we go out, I usually want to brag. My friend is a doctor, but I'm under strict warning to never do that because
She's not allowed.
because she's so humble. But for the sake of this interview, I can proudly introduce my friend, Dr. Tomi Jacobs.
Wow. That was a little dramatic.
Thank you for sitting with me,
Thank you for
Tomi.
being here.
Yeah. So please introduce yourself and tell me in your own words how you got from Nigeria to sitting with me in your Los Angeles apartment.
All right. So I graduated from high school in Nigeria at 16. And then after that, I moved to Delaware in the US. And for my college experience, best 4 years of my life. I would say consecutively. So far, so good. I would say that I really enjoy being here. I would say I call it my second home. College was nice. I met a lot of like different backgrounds. It was nice to be in a different place where everyone did not look like me. So it was always interesting to experience people from different backgrounds. And then after college, I did a little stint in Massachusetts for post bac because I had not decided initially that I wanted to be a doctor. So after I did that, fulfilled all my requirements, I moved to Green. Well, actually, I moved to Newcastle for my medical school. So my medical school is in the Caribbean, but we had the option to be in Newcastle for the first year or Grenada for both our 2 years of sciences. While I was in Newcastle, I would also say I had the best time of my life. I met friends that I would call some of my best friends today. And actually, a lot of them play. One of them actually played a role in me moving here to California. Med school was fun. It was a very tough time where we had to study, and like as usual, like a lot of studying was expected. But then we also made sure we had fun to like balance things out. After Newcastle, I moved to Grenada for my second year of medical school. That was my first time in the Caribbean, and it was very fun. I mean, that was when I fell in love with the beach. Like prior to that, I hated beaches. Like the sun's too hot, the sun gets in everything, it's too salty, you can't even drink water. And after I left Grenada, I moved to New York City, and that's where I met you, or Odera, as you all know. I met her through my cousin, who's very close friends with her. And since then, we've become friends, and I had a great time in New York City, lived there for 2 years, and completed my medical school there. And then afterwards, I moved to Albany, New York, upstate New York. It was very nice. I was happy to move to Albany because I knew it was only less than 3 hours from the city. Because I could always go back and visit friends, Odera included. After Albany, 3 years, I was debating between moving out of the East Coast or stay there. And eventually, after a lot of convincing from both friends and family, I moved here to California. I live very close to Los Angeles, where I've been having a blast. I would say from college to now, I've had a very good time.
So how did you decide on medicine? What made you decide
On
on
medicine,
medicine?
well, the reason why I chose medicine was because I could not imagine myself doing anything else. So in college, I wasn't very serious about being a pre med student. But as time went by, I went to a lot of career fairs and I didn't see anything that made me very interested. I was a psych major actually in college, and I thought I was going to be a therapist for the longest time. And after a few years, I realized that was not my calling. But eventually, I decided that I was going to go for medicine, just because I mean, growing up as a Nigerian, I mean, every parent has flirted with the idea of their kids being doctors. So that was not like a new thing for me. I always thought of that, but I never really thought, oh yeah, I'm gonna do what my parents like told me about or things they told me to consider. But as time went by, being in a lot of pre med courses, I thought that was very interesting. I want to continue to pursue that. And I don't regret any decision I've made since then.
You're a pediatrician and you
Yeah, I
work
am.
at a children's hospital. So why pediatrics?
And going through all my rotations, I had a pretty similar experience going through a lot of them, but pediatrics just stood out to me. I mean, think about it. You have kids. I mean, people might have different opinions about kids, but almost everyone can agree that on some level they like kids. They're honest, straightforward. You know, they'll always put you in your place, even though
Mhm.
that's not their intention.
Mhm.
They also reminded me a lot about myself. Like,
Mhm.
I'm very childlike. Everyone who knows me knows I'm playful.
Yeah, I think
I
that's what we
just
have in common.
yeah, we do. I would say that. Yeah, being with children just it was always natural for me. Like I wanted to be helpful towards them because a lot of times when children are sick, it's not necessarily their fault. You can't say the same for adults. So when a child is sick, I mean, all they want to do is feel loved and be better. And with children, you can always make a change. That's one thing I noticed with pediatrics. I went into medicine thinking that I was going to do psychiatry, and my my worldview changed just by rotating through pediatrics, and I have no regrets since then.
Okay, so you've been in America since you were 16.
Yeah,
What
half my
was
life.
what was some of the first culture shocks you experienced?
I would say people smiling at me. So I smile a lot. I'm very bubbly, energetic. But growing up in Nigeria, like people didn't just walk by and smile at you. You know, if you didn't know someone, you just kept moving, right? But here, it was very strange when during my orientation week in college, I would walk by and random people would just smile at me and say hello. And I was like, oh my god, am I supposed to respond? So yeah, after a couple of days, I got to realize that that's just
The
what the
culture,
culture was
yeah.
here. Just being nice was,
Mhm.
yeah. So being nice was a culture shock to me. Not that Nigerians are not nice; we're very nice, but you know what I
Nice in
mean.
that way.
You know what I mean.
Okay. So far,
Mhm.
how long have you been practicing medicine?
A year and a half. I mean, actually, I would say 4.5 years, because residency counts as practicing medicine. I would say. Even though I was under supervision with a lot of amazing attendings and stuff, it was still practicing because the work then
Okay.
was real.
But on your own, a
On my own, I would
year.
say a year and a half.
Okay.
Yes,
All right. And
yes.
so far, what has been your proudest medical moment?
Believe it or not, convincing kids not to eat junk food.
Is that a problem you see often?
Yeah, so in South Central Los Angeles, being overweight or obese is a very big epidemic. So we have a lot of children that are low income, many of which are either immigrants or children of immigrants. So a lot of them don't have resources to help them eat healthy. So when we see them in our clinic, talking about their health and their diet is always a very big discussion. It's as big as someone coming in telling you, "Oh my God, um, I don't know, my chest hurts." I would say. So in pediatrics, we focus a lot more on preventative medicine because we want people to grow into adults that make good decisions, responsible decisions, and a lot of that has to do with your food. I mean, what you eat is part of who you are. So when I see a lot of children that are having problems that adults have, I mean, I have kids that are pre-diabetic. Heck, I even have kids with diabetes, and I'm not talking type 1. They're like adult diabetes. It's very disheartening to see kids with those problems, or like high cholesterol, things that even I, as an adult, like I'm not really experiencing. I'm seeing that happen to kids younger than me, even at smaller weights than my weight. Those are things that I found that I'm helping people and making a difference, just changing their worldview about food and eating in general.
Wow. So, okay, I'm going to ask you a very funny question. What
What
what type of adult do you think you would have grown to be if you had a pediatrician like yourself when you were little?
I would say a skinny adult. I'm sorry.
I
I
love
know. I know.
that.
Nowadays, everyone is very focused
Body
on your words and body positivity and how you describe things. But let's be real. Like when I say skinny, I mean a lean, healthy adult.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay.
an adult that weighs 70 kilos, whatever that is in America.
All right. So, where are you headed professionally, and what do you want to do to positively add to the world when you attain that great height?
All right. So while I was training in my residency, actually, I always really wanted to specialize in cancer and blood disorders. So basically, I wanted to be a pediatric hematology oncologist. But throughout my medical my both my medical school and my residency experience, I found that just general preventative pediatrics just goes a very long way as well. So if I can prevent problems, hopefully we won't need as many specialists as we need nowadays, just because on the primary level we're preventing all those problems that would need to be escalated, if that makes sense. So I would say moving forward, I still sometimes see myself as a hematology oncologist, helping kids get through the worst periods of their lives with things like leukemia, brain cancer,
Wow.
bone cancers. But right now, fundamentally, I'm very much in love with general peds and preventing problems. So I would say, moving on from now, I see myself in about 10 years' time as the Surgeon General of California.
Hey, hey,
I
hey,
don't know. That
hey,
sounds like
hey.
big dreams, but
You can anything
I mean,
manifest
it's a dream.
positivity, baby. Come
Yeah,
on. And
right.
that's why I'm
Nothing.
talking to you now, so that when you're there, you'll be taking me into VIP places
I'm
because
dying.
we heard it here first, right?
So I mean, my dream at the end of the day is to be the Surgeon General of California, and I know it's doable because the
Of
current
course.
Surgeon General is a black woman,
Yeah, I love
so it's
it.
totally doable.
I love it. This is the point of the interview where Tomi gets to ask me one question. So,
Hmm.
what's the question you have for me?
Odera, I mean, I came into this thinking about asking you where you see yourself in 5 years, but right now, what do you dream that you want to do that people will remember that yes, she did that?
I want to be a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria one day, and I want to pass
Amazing.
one law, possibly for children. I want to pass a law for foster care. I feel there are a lot of orphans. I've seen a lot of children just roaming around, like
Mhm.
foster care or like orphanages or something like the YMCA. There's some type of law that takes care of abandoned children, because there's so many. So
This
that
is
way,
why we're
like,
friends. We love children.
yeah, because I've worked in children with children a lot as well,
Yeah,
So yeah, I want to pass a law that has to do with children in
that's good.
Nigeria.
I
When I'm a
hope.
senator.
Yeah, I have no doubts that you will. So
Thank you.
thank you for interviewing me today.
Thank you for sitting with me, Tommy. I can't believe my camera lasted this long. And that's it for today. Please like, watch, subscribe, share the link, and manifest positivity anywhere you are. Bye.